I was asked recently by someone if I would share my definition of success. So, in today's session, I will begin to give you the answer in hopes that it might help you formulate your own. Not to copy it, that would be against the point of defining it for yourself, but to further inspire and incite ideas of your own. So let me also add this disclaimer before we begin. My definition has evolved over time, partly due to growing wisdom and partly due to climbing the hierarchy of needs. After certain needs are fully fulfilled, you end up changing your priority focus. So my definition of success is this: doing what I want to do with who I want to do it with, doing how I want it done, and for who I want to do it for. That is a success to me. That is living as I want to live. And this is also how I have structured my business enterprise and designed my life. Let me break this down for you a bit so that you understand the architecture underneath this. We have what, with, who, how, and for who. So starting with doing what I want to do. Admittedly, an aspect of this is part of that earned right. I did a lot of things that I had to do, sacrificing a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and bruises for decades to claw my way to the mountaintop in order to now have the complete freedom to choose to do only what I want to do. My wife and I have all that we ever need for the rest of our lives already. Now it's just a matter of A, not screwing it up. I've seen many people in similar situations screw this up. They gain their freedom, but their ego compulsions continue to propel them, getting themselves involved in all sorts of projects, all sorts of investments, or businesses, or relationships that then creates an albatross of obligation that they then become beholden to and then imprisoned by. And B, now choosing carefully what we want to do. So our want to do is designed around our number one core value, and that is impact. My objective is to use my vast and unique experience to be a guide for others who wish to climb their own mountain of success and ambition. Having made the trek several times, I can now show others the way. I can help them avoid mistakes that I've discovered and guide them towards the faster and safer route to the top. But even inside this wanting to make an impact, it doesn't mean that I will do anything that makes a positive impact. For instance, I don't speak at prisons or high schools, even though I'm sure I could have some impact. It's just not something I want to do, so I don't. No other explanation or justification needed. My focus is on a certain level of existing high achiever. We'll get to more of that later in the definition, but what I know is every yes that I give will create a no to something else. And that something else is probably more of what I actually want to do more of. This is a key point for all of you in all your choices. Everything you say yes to will force you to have to say no to something else. Say yes to that phone call or meeting, now you have to say no to the head down time on your number one vital priority. Say yes to volunteering for that organization, now you have to say no to being home with your family for dinner. Say yes to that new business idea, now you have to say no to optimizing and maximizing your existing winning campaigns. Remember that every yes is a no to something else. So you want to choose your yeses carefully. They will always have a price to pay. That is why having clarity on what it is that you want to do is so critical in helping you say no to everything else and then not have to feel guilty about it. And this is a big and, by the way, I won't do something just because it will make a lot of money. This is another critical value of getting clear on what you really want to do versus just anything because it makes money. I stopped an elite mentoring program that generated 7 figures in profit a year with a 3-year waiting list simply because it became too much work for the scale of impact that I wanted to have. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I stopped mentoring CEOs one-on-one at $100,000 apiece for only 30 minutes a month for the same reason. We constantly turn down $55,000 an hour speaking engagements simply because I don't want to travel as much and interrupt my schedule that often. I went from doing 89 engagements a year to 55 the next, to 35 the next, to 25 the next, last year 15, and this year no more than 10. The requests have increased, but my yeses have decreased. And I'm not saying that saying no is easy. I'm tantalized just like the rest of us. I'm giving you this context to tell you that getting really clear about what you really want gives you the inner strength to protect that want. You don't want some of those yeses to screw it all up. Now, if you're sitting there going, well, good for you, but I still have to work for money, what I'm telling you here still applies. You only have to put money into your want filter. As I was still clawing my way to the summit of this financial freedom of choice, I still had an ROI and ROE on my choice structure. That's return on investment and return on effort, to filter what I would do and what I would not do. I would only say yes and allocate my time and energy and attention to those things that would pay me the return that I wanted to be worth. You see, the problem we all face, whether you know it or not, is we do not lack for opportunity. It is constantly surrounding you all day, every day. You only lack for the priority of your attention and effort. You're like a mosquito in the middle of a nudist colony. You don't lack for opportunity, you only lack for focus and priority. That's why these decision filters are so important. I'll tell you what, to help you with this, I'm going to share with you a consulting session that I had with a friend of mine who was quote unquote crazy busy in his business and as a result, hating his life. I ran him through a quick process during a lunch meeting that we had that clearly showed him how to reprioritize his focus and efforts. And then only in a few weeks, his results skyrocketed and he regained control over his sanity. He sent me a text 3 weeks later that said, my entire life has, quote unquote, radically changed. I recorded a walkthrough of what I did for him that you can watch for yourself, and I'll post a link to it below. It's completely free for your benefit. To sum up the first part of this definition architecture, 1, if you work your butt off, then you can eventually earn the right and freedom to make better and better choices. 2, when you reach that summit, be sure that you make the choices that will protect that freedom. I see too many people continue to make choices for money or for ego or for obligation and end up ruining their freedom and sacrificing the things that matter the most for things that matter very little. And then number 3, while you are still mid-climb, you can still structure your choices around what you want and what you do not want using that ROI and ROE money/value filter as part of your criteria. Now, we'll continue with this architecture in the next session. In the meantime, tell us your reflections thus far. Are you doing exactly and only what you want to do? Do you hold firm enough on only allocating your professional time to those things that give you the ROI and ROE of your true value and worth? Remember, you get in life what you tolerate. What are you tolerating that you will no longer? Share your thoughts in the comments below.